Miami, the market's on fire. To buy, to sell, to hold takes you higher. With Zalewski and Hernandez, you know the sound. Ya tú sabes.
Happy Friday, Miami. This is Buy, Sell, Hold Miami, a real estate podcast. I'm Peter Zalewski, condo consultant, expert witness, founder of the Miami Condo Investing Club, joined here by my partner, my co-host, the moderator, Daniel Hernandez from Compass Real Estate in Coconut Grove. He does single-family houses as well as condos. Daniel, happy 10-year treasury, my friend, 4.75. We hit it. We actually hit it. We're approaching 5.
What? That's more than it was a few months ago.
Listen, on the 27th of February, Friday, we hit 3.96. And everybody should know 10-year treasury translates into your mortgage interest rate, your credit card interest rate, your car loan interest rate. Mortgages, you add 3 points to it. Daniel, we were coming to 3.96 on the 27th of February. The next day, we said, we got a low 10-year treasury. Let's go ahead and attack Iran because we want to jack up gas prices and we want to jack up that 10-year treasury so that mortgage rates go high.
It's an excursion. We went on it's like a cruise ship excursion. We went off on the ship and we went to Iran at the cost of what, several $100 billion?
Yeah, and counting. But hey, listen, with any luck, we might be able to hit 7%, 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Wall Street says
$4.99 a gallon I did with my car yesterday. Ouch.
Whoa. 2013, no car. That's how long it's been for me. And the court did not order it. I voluntarily did it.
But can you get anywhere? They haven't built a transit corridor since like 1975.
Yeah, you are kind of limited to that skeleton of a metro rail.
But we'll get to that because we got a big segment to talk about the transit corridor. And if you're just joining us for the first time today, everybody, this is Buy, Sell, Hold, where Peter and I, we throw back these stories week after week. And have we got a show for you? In the bottom left of your screen, or if you're looking on some mobile, right there in the middle, you see the rundown. Those are some topics that Peter and I throw back and forth. And at the end of each topic, we're either going to buy because we agree, we sell because we disagree, or we hold because we don't have enough information and we don't know. We're adults and we can just sit back and watch. But with that, Peter, there was a story last week that you had me kicked because we had so much material to play with and we push it to this week. But I want to talk about our boy Moishe Mana. And Moishe Mana, for everybody who doesn't know, is an enterprising gentleman. He came here. Get this, Peter. I was doing some research about Mr. Mana. He came here from Israel, not here. He went to New York in 1983, and he had a moving truck. And that moving truck grew into Moishe's Moving Systems, which from my half-ass internet research grew to become one of the largest, if not the largest moving company in all of New York. And then he saw as many developers who wind up down here see when they're in New York, they go, wait, I should own this real estate stuff. And so then he got into warehousing. He got into data warehousing. I mean, he was into warehousing, computer storage back before they called it Facebook and Google, when it was just called IT, information technology. And then he parlayed that into art storage, which he had that whole Mana Contemporary. And we're not going to get into all that. There were some lawsuits, but that's behind him now. In 2009, he came to Miami, though. I'm sure he was coming down here partying with Versace and all the cool kids and Stallone in the 90s. But he planted a flag here, and that flag he planted is in a little neighborhood that we know today as Wynwood. Well, I said it how the Cubans say it, but Wynwood. And he has built and amassed acres and acres and acres of warehouses at a cost basis that would make your head spin today. In fact, there was a rumor, wasn't there, Peter, that our boy Mr. Billions was negotiating a deal for Mana over there in Wynwood. It was like $700 million, something like that. I mean, both sides said. Both sides said, nah, you guys are crazy. You guys are making that stuff up. That's fake news. But if it actually is true, and his cost basis is probably in the hundreds of millions, $300 million, $700 million seems like a payday for him. And that's just Wynwood, guys. Then in like 2014, 2015, he started buying up what we're calling today is the Flagler Corridor, which Flagler, everybody, for who's just watching the show, not from Miami, Flagler's effectively 0 Street. So if you're looking at the latitude, anything north of Flagler's north, anything south of Flagler's south. And Flagler Street is like City of Miami, 0 Street. So in and around that corridor, he's got something like 80 buildings, Pete.
But, before you go forward, let me just throw out to you. Mr. Mana, before he came here, he got his start in the fruit business. Yeah, according to Miami Herald. That didn't
come out of my little research. Really?
Yeah, according to Miami Herald, they did a sidebar when they did a profile of when they were working on Flagler Street and the 5 blocks that were going to cost like $40 million to improve. Yeah, the headline, Miami Herald, comes out April 27th, 2022. Call him the Mango Man. Moishi's the Mango Man. Yeah, Moishi Mana sprouts fruitful agricultural business in Colombia. He owns a bunch of dirt in Colombia so he can export mangoes and limes. That was the key to his business. That's how he got into the cash, was farming business down in Colombia with limes and mangoes, and he's got the nickname the Mango Man. So one thing leads to another. I would just want to throw that out there to you.
Well, the other, and as we see in the rundown topic title there, they call him Mana Mañana. And I think that's a little poking the bear a bit because he hasn't really seemed to do much with this dirt. Yeah, he's got the Mana thing with the convention center, and they do music concerts, and they do conventions.
Daniel, remember, he got the Mana Center for a song because that was a failed county-owned World Trade Center. That actually went BK.
Oh, that's right.
It went BK.
That's right.
Yeah. Wynwood was a no-go zone. It was a shithole. Everybody sort of knew it as the place with chop shops. You drive around, there's all warehouses. They'd roll up the bays. You didn't know what the hell was going on. They'd be working. I remember one time I was driving through probably 11, 12 o'clock at night. A guy whose family has a huge art collection. He had left his car there because they got a gallery. We were driving around. And you would think if this was a movie, this was like chop shops. You had all these mechanic
I remember
places.
Going there with my dad when I was like 10 years old to the art galleries, Fred Snitzer's place.
Yes. And remember, this is kind of where they began the art walks, the first Friday of every month. And then other cities picked up on it, Coral Gables and other stuff. But when you went there, Daniel, it was gritty. There was no place to go to eat. There was like a place called Lester's.
Joey's they opened, right? On the corner there.
Joey's. Yeah. But then they got robbed. You remember when they got robbed? I don't know, probably about 10 years back or so.
They got robbed. And then very by pure coincidence, there was a cop on every corner for the rest of eternity. And all of a sudden, people felt safe in going into Wynwood. I'm still not parking my car there overnight.
Exactly. And now fast forward, then you get the little dumpy bar called Gramps. It opens and it hits it right. You also had the bar, Daniel, what the hell was it called? Wood Tavern. You had the Wood Tavern.
Sure.
These were like kind of, it was a real grid area. And then the New Yorkers came rolling in. They bought a bunch of stuff. And then we got all the Michelin star chefs coming in there. And then the whole one thing led to another. Yeah. And, and if memory serves me correct, I think Moishi built a big arts center in New Jersey. And
that was in Jersey City. I wasn't going to bring it up because it was kind of contentious. So there was some litigation and some allegations that, and I pulled it from the affidavit, that he was holding art hostage. So the business model was actually kind of brilliant. So he would store folks' art, but it wasn't a traditional art storage center. He would hold showings and he would put this art out on display, but he was charging people to come see the art that was being stored in this warehouse. So the people were like, wait, I'm just paying you to store it. I didn't say anything about you showing it to people. So people weren't terribly happy about that.
Nice. But you can see Moishi, what it's all about. He's an entrepreneur. He buys real estate. He likes art. And one of the things he wanted to do with Flagler, he said in an interview with the Business Journal, Brian Bandel, a podcast, he said he's trying to create a cultural center for fashion as well as art on Flagler Street in and around there. And that's one of the reasons he went into all of these properties. But so far, Moishi, where you been? You haven't done anything. So all you're doing is knocking down stuff.
He says it's a city that's holding him up with the permits. So somebody's in the wrong here, right? And listen, I hear a lot of complaints. She's the head of the DDA, or was.
She says Flagler Street's done now. Everybody remember, they were working probably about 10 years, and I'm being a little facetious, 10 years to go 5 blocks to rebuild it. And you know what they did? And wait for it. They eliminated the curb and they made it flush for the road
Yeah,
to
it's very
the
popular.
sidewalk. So you could do farmers markets, you could do different events, you could host like during the Super Bowl or anything like that, you can have the events. $40 million, 10 years, 8 years, whatever the heck it was. I mean, it started before the pandemic.
Wow.
But Eileen Higgins, the new mayor, she says she's gotten it done, and there was a story in the Herald about it. So Moishi, it's all set to go. Dale.
So is Moishe Mana's day now? Is it finally happening? By the way, like if guys, don't bite my head off, but if the Ken Griffin thing goes through, he's going to be sitting on a nice little payday there, and he's got a lot to develop. It just makes sense. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist by any means, but I mean, is that not one of the best land deals over the last 25 years that we've seen here?
In terms of the
appreciation,
the Wynwood?
Yeah, the
Wynwood
thing.
Or the Flagler?
No, Flagler.
Yeah, no.
Flagler, we'll have to see about Flagler. But the Wynwood thing, the money's real. Listen, Ken Billions, the same week that they denied those rumors that they threw him out, he bought the Class A office building that they put up over there. What is that, between 5th and 6th Avenue? So
yeah,
Ken Billions has interest, $370-something million worth of interest in Wynwood already. So maybe there's some truth to that. I don't know.
It could be, but going back to the Brian Bendel podcast, for Moishi, he says it's about legacy. He wants to build his legacy. And so far, Moishi, your only legacy is a bunch of vacant dirt, as well as maybe Wynwood, where you bring in a bunch of roach coaches or food trucks is what they call it now. People line up and you sell booze. I don't know what else he's done over there other than acquire dirt and rent it out to food trucks and people who want to drink. I mean,
the acoustics in the Mana Convention Center there are not fantastic. I've been to concerts there. It's
and the internet connection. Internet connection is piss poor in that place. You try to get LTE or anything else on your phone. Oh my God, it's horrible. You almost need like
5G now, Peter. LTE. What is this? 2016.
But you remember Nextel, where all the construction workers they had like walkie-talkies. That's what you need in the Mana Center. There's no connection whatsoever. I don't care if it's 5G, it's 12G based on inflation rate. Maybe it's 20G. You don't get any connection there. But legacy. What's his legacy? Or is this the time where he's going to build his legacy? He proved he can buy dirt, but anybody can buy. Now, what do you do with it? Is what I would sort of throw out there.
So is Mana Mañana's day now? Are you buy, sell, hold on that?
I think the pressure is on him right now. Now it's time to perform. Spring training is over. The preparation work is over. There's nobody else to point the fingers to. I mean, maybe you can point the fingers at what's going on in Washington. Maybe you can point the fingers to the interest rates. Maybe you can point the fingers at construction costs. Maybe you can point the fingers at the tariffs as a result of Liberation Day and Supreme Court decision, stuff like that. But, short of that, it's clear. This is wide open. This should be clear sailing. And now we're going to see, can he actually do anything other than buy? And, and I wish him well. He's got some, pretty important properties, especially there on Flagler Street. If he's successful in doing what he wants to do, creating, again, a fashion and arts center, a district right there on Flagler Street, because he owns most of it, I think it could be spectacular. But I think he might be on the wrong side timing-wise.
Yeah, I listened to the Brian Brindell interview, and he kept on sort of repeating the same theme. It's like, if you build it, they will come. So instead of building the residences first, he really puts a big stick in tenant selection and making sure the right people are there. And then if the retail and the commercial enterprise is there, then people will want to pay high rents to live there. And I guess that's sort of his whole thesis. Maybe he should come on the show and tell me different.
Yeah, Daniel, you raise a great point. And you know what? It kind of reminds me of his brethren. I don't know if they directly knew each other or not, but Tony Goldman, Old Man Goldman, who is one of the ones. I mean, Wynwood had always been around. There's a guy called Larry Mizarek. He was a commercial real estate agent. He used to peddle all the warehouses and stuff over there. And everybody keep in mind Wynwood, why it got on the map. It was basically the industrial district for the Seaboard Airline Rail. which basically came in there just on the other side of Interstate 95 before 95 was there. So they used this as warehouse. This was an area where you had a bakery, you had some manufacturing going on. There was something called the Caribbean Basin Initiative with President Ronald Reagan going all the way back, where they would basically, yeah, exactly. They would allow countries in the Caribbean where if they assembled product, as long as it was U.S. materials like apparel and stuff, fabric, they'd send it to places like Haiti. It would get assembled there and they'd bring it back. But there was a lot of it was going on in and around the Wynwood area. So this area was really kind of trashy. It all crapped out. Like I said, the World Trade Center, Foreign Trade Center, I should say, when BK County lost its ass on it. And Tony Goldman comes in. He brings his New York perspective in there, and he's able to put it on the board. But I would argue Tony Goldman, his real contribution, besides the vision, but locally, besides the vision, was being able to bring in the money men. Moishi, I think what you ought to do is you've assembled all this dirt. Now you need to start to divvy it up. Need to sell it out. You need to JV. You need to partner up and do some stuff like that. And I think that's how you ultimately reach it. Because as a one-man band, if you will,
it's a very heavy
I don't really
lift.
know if you're going to. It's a heavy lift, and he's north of 70. He talked about on the podcast. He's in the legacy mode of. He doesn't. Don't get me wrong. He doesn't want to have his, his name on the Kennedy Center when he's thinking about legacy. But he wants to have his name somewhere. So I think what he needs to do is he needs to bring in some other people, maybe some young bucks, if you will, or some people with the money. He can sit back, be the chieftain. He can sort of stroke his goatee if he's got one. And if he doesn't, he should grow one. And he can kind of direct it all. Be the landowner. Be the old wise man. Share about what you were doing in Colombia with the mangoes and the limes, and we can bring it all together. And I think it would be a fantastic situation. But now's the time. You got to do it now, because if not, people are going to really doubt and question, because there's nobody to point fingers at anymore.
So you're a buy. I'm a buy.
I would be. Yeah. But it's right now. It's you got to dale. As Mr. 305 says, dale.
Reverter schmurder. I have way too much fun with these topics. So, folks, Peter, remember we talked about? I had never heard about it before. A reverter clause in a contract. We talked about it when we were pinging around the Miami Coral Gables Youth Center about a month ago.
Yes.
And they had
yes.
So Coral Gables Youth Center was donated back in the 50s to the city of Coral Gables. So it would be the Youth Center War Memorial, and if they even changed the name of it, it would revert back to that association, that organization. Well, Peter, I read about another reverter clause. I guess reverter clause were big in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So back in 1974, Old Man Morris, so Alan Morris's dad, right? Alan Morris, big developer. They're doing a lot of stuff. They got Ponce Park over there in the Gables, but they're traditionally multifamily developers. And
the original Old Man Morris. He put up the first office tower on Brickell Avenue. It's still standing today, everybody, right across from where Michael Stern is putting up the Dolce & Gabbana, so they say. But right across the street, going south, that's the first office tower.
Or is Jeffrey Sofer putting up the Dolce & Gabbana now? We don't know. Guys, tell us, please. So old man Morris, the oldest man Morris, gave this park to City of Miami back in '74. And there was a reverter clause in that agreement. Hey, I'm going to give you this dirt and make a park. But, if you use this for any sort of commercial purpose, it will revert back to moi and my organization. And what does the city of Miami do, Peter? You want me to tell you what they did? They gave it to Paracones for outdoor seating. Paracones was a restaurant in Brickell when nothing was in Brickell, and it was fantastic. They sold out about a decade ago, maybe a little more. Now it's a condo tower there, but they used this park for outdoor seating, and that was a big no-no per that country. Well, they could have done whatever they wanted, but they needed to know full well and good that if they did that, Alan Morris could come back knocking and say, hey, my reverter clause clicked in, now it's mine. So 1974, like 2020. Yeah.
Just like the Crandon family, right? Over there in Key Biscayne. Remember they had a tennis tournament there, and one thing led to another, and all of a sudden they got the boot as well.
So exactly. So if this organization controls it, and by the way, right, we have to remember, Alan Morris is a developer, and everybody's all up in arms because they want to develop it now. And it makes me think of that story of the scorpion and the frog, Pete, You know, the story where there's a body of water. I'm gonna paraphrase and butcher the shit out of it, but effectively there's a body of water, folks, and there's a scorpion and a frog, and the scorpion can't swim, so he tells the frog, "Hey, frog guy, can I jump on your back and get across this body of water?" And the frog's like, "Oh, dude, you're a scorpion. Can you promise not to sting me?" And the scorpion says, "Sure, pal, of course." So he hops on his back, they go across, and then he stings him. And the frog goes, "Hey, dude, what the fuck? You told me you weren't going to sting me." He goes, "I'm a scorpion." Alan Morris is a developer. So for everybody all up in arms and Brickle, don't look at Alan Morris. Look at the city administrators. Look at the people who agreed to a thing. They didn't do the thing. And now the guy who donated is saying, Scorpion saying, "I'm a developer. What do you expect me to do with it?" So Alan Morris will wind up building a building there because that is his right.
It is his right, and I think he should do it. If the city wants, take it eminent domain. Call up Daniela Levine Cava over in County Hall.
They're really good
at
doing deals with developers for dirt. They're really good at that.
Yeah, what's the problem? Yeah, they got great
They
experience.
were going to spend $400 million just like without a thought, right?
We got to bring up Fisher Island fuel tank every single week. I love the fact that controversy is going on.
It's a big deal. So listen, I get it. I love parks as much as the next guy, and there's a big push. Somebody is giving a lot of clout, social clout. I applaud him for fighting against the city with the arborists, and I think they're getting a little slippery slope with pulling out mature trees, because putting a young tree as a replacement for a mature tree I don't think is a very great strategy. But I need to mention, by the way, Alan Morris, the same people that are getting bitched at for this whole thing, they got a 40-tree permit to remove trees in the Grove for their ziggurat project. And that's Damian Pardo's district. When the Miami Herald asked Damian Pardo's office for a comment on this, they didn't even get a response. Guys, you're public servants. Your duty is to respond when your constituents ask questions. It doesn't matter if they're not going to like the answer. Shit, maybe you don't even like the answer, but you did a thing and you got to say why you did it or why you didn't do it.
Here. I'm with you on that. Daniel, talking about Alan Morris, let's sort of go back there. So I think the office building went up in like the 1950s. I want to say the oldest.
What's the address of that? What is it?
It's like 10th in Brickell. It's going to be on the southwest corner. Yeah, it's across from the Turkish guy with the salt. The guy who drops the salt. That's on the east side of the street, right across the street. It'd be southwest corner, and it's across the street from Michael Stern's Dolce Gabbana proposed or planned, whatever it's going to be. You'll see it. So a white building, probably about 10 to 12 stories or so. I think they actually turned into condo hotels. So, but let's go back. So the oldest man Morris, memory serves me correct. He was down here quite some time, involved with a bunch of different developers. He breaks off on his own. He builds the first office tower on Brickell Avenue, and then Alan Jr., if you will, takes over. And then ultimately, now Allen's, so number third in the generation, is putting up two condos. Spencer Morris.
Spencer, Ziggurat and Park Place.
And Park Place. So riddle me this. Wouldn't it be a nice little addition to your portfolio? You're putting up one in the Grove, putting up one in the Gables, and now lo and behold, because I don't think Alan Morris, the father, or the son, however you want to look at it, the one in the middle, I don't think he has the desire and or the gumption to go ahead and go through the process. It's a 5 to 7 year process. You got to get approval. You got to build it. You got to hire pretty people to sell it. You got to kiss baby, shake hands. I don't know if he wants to do it, but this would be a perfect segue for Spencer, his son. Started off with the Ziggurat, following at Ponce Park in the Gables. Why not roll out the Brickell? It would make all the sense in the world. Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world.
And then he gets his 3, as you say.
Yeah, and 3 on the board, and you are legit. Welcome to the club. They give you a ring. They give you a jacket. What color should the jacket be when you get into that club, Daniel?
Ooh, I don't know. Blue, green, gold. No, they already got the green one with the golf. Maybe blue. Yeah. Some Miami blue.
Yeah. We need to come up with a Hall of Fame and a Hall of Shame for developers. Those who we should put in the Hall of Fame and those
You know,
who we should put in the Hall
nobody's
of Shame.
claimed our BSH NFT trophies that we put out a few months back. Nope, nobody's called me to claim them. I don't know why. Why doesn't anybody want Miami Coin?
Carlos Rosso, I mean, you should call up. You won one of the awards. You won an award. Get off your boat. Stop vacationing. Call us up. We'll give you the NFT.
He did so well at the Standard in Midtown. Well, now he's got the other one in Midtown with your pickleball courts.
Paddleboard, pickle court, racquetball, whatever the hell it is.
Racquetball's so 1980s, man.
No, but honestly, going back to Alan Morris and Spencer Morris, I think that's really the play as we kind of talk this out. It's probably setting up the dirt so that Spencer can break through and go ahead and put up a tower because he's building the portfolio. He's doing the Grove with Ziggurat. He's doing Ponce Park and the Gables. This would be the third one. This would make him legit. And then the whole process would just continue onward in the Morris family and their contribution to Miami.
So reverters from a schmurder, buy, sell, hold.
Yeah, I gotta be a buy.
I'm with you, pal. Well, since we're sticking around Brickell, this one's a little more thematic, right? And we talk about this Wall Street of the South. Peter, you know where Lombard Street is? You ever heard of Lombard Street?
Isn't that the pizza joint? Is there something with like a pizza out of Boston
Lombard Street. Lombard Street's in London. Jolly old England, Pete. By the way,
it's the High Street. High Street.
It's the financial center. It's the Wall Street of London, right? But they've been there for way longer. So the Lombards were merchants that went over to London in like the 13th century. And did Wall Street, were the financiers in Wall Street in New York City? New York City became New York City, like half an hour ago? Were they saying, oh, we're the Lombard Street of the Americans? No! So my whole thing is, why do we keep on harping on? Either way, why do we keep on calling Brickell Avenue the Wall Street of the South? Brickell Avenue is Brickell Avenue. I mean, listen, and we had that nice gentleman on the pod a few months back, Rob Amoruso. He said it himself. He goes, listen, I'm not fooled here. Miami's not going to be New York. He goes to New York and he can do 20 meetings in a few days on foot walking around Midtown. That is impossible here. I actually pulled some numbers for us, Pete. So Business Insider, Bradley Sachs, Wall Street of the South has not materialized in headcount. In 2025, 8 of the industry's biggest employers, multi-strategy funds including Millennium, Citadel, Point72, and a few others I've never heard of before because that's not my thing, had a combined 218 investment professionals in Miami. Drop in the bucket, Pete. I thought they were all coming down here. And maybe there are more coming down here. But
listen. I said it from the beginning. This is all just smoke and mirrors. These are little satellite offices.
We're really good at marketing here, and the Wall Street of the South moniker. Somebody got it in their head that was a good thing. But where are all these New Yorkers, by the way, in January? They're coming here for the lifestyle, not for the professionalism. And listen, I don't disagree that we need to aspire to be more professional if we want to be a global city. We want to be considered a global city. But the lifestyle here is unmatched. You think anybody's partying on a boat in January in London? No! But they are here. So there's a space for us in the global financial capital encyclopedia, but it's not a Wall Street. We're not going to be that. Look, I'll Ken Billions, right? Ken Billions has a bayfront lot right there in Brickell. And what do we do? Well, here, the highest and best use for that, if you want to argue this with me, argue it, it's condos, right? But he's building an office building because he wants this to be a financial capital. He goes, I'll take a hit. I'm Ken Billions. I could lose every dollar I put into this thing because I want to create a financial center here. And I applaud him and I thank him for it. He's not building condos. He's building an office building on something. He could have a sellout of over $1 billion on that parcel. But no, he's going to have tenants. He's going to be a landlord, Peter. By the way, it seems like he's moving forward with his New York office tower. After all the back and forth with the Mamdani thing, he's building it anyway.
Imagine that. Well, listen, let's hold his feet to the fire. Listen, the Wall Street South moniker, going back to 1920s, everybody. According to a book called Bubble in the Sun, Christopher Knowlton. Wall Street South is old. It's so old. It's used by those people who have no creativity. But Daniel, I think you just had a Carl Fisher moment. And what I mean by
Oh,
that, yeah. So Carl Fisher, this guy basically credited with creating Miami Beach. He made a ton of cash. Created a patent that was sold to a large industrialist company related to headlights back in the day. So he's a gearhead. So he goes ahead. He creates the Indianapolis 500. They bank on it. They lead forward to building the Dixie Highway. They put together the Dixie Highway. So Fisher comes down here, and old man Flagler, Henry Flagler, the partner of John D. Rockefeller from Standard Oil, he had set up shop in Palm Beach County and Palm Beach Island, put it on the map. So when Carl Fisher came here, he was trying to compete with old man Flagler, and he took him a while till he realized, and this is based on his memoirs, according to the book, he realized that's not his market. He realized he had to go in a completely different direction. So Daniel, you are right. Wall Street South. We don't want to be Wall Street South.
I want to be
We don't want to be New York. Yes, that's your Carl Fisher moment. You realize you're chasing, the city's chasing the wrong.
It's a marketing thing. It's a total. You're right. Just be a little more creative. Don't recreate the 20s and the 30s. By the way, it didn't end very well for them in the 20s. Not in the
Tits up,
slightest.
as they say in Tampa.
They weren't. Tampa wasn't even really on the map. They're just saying tits up now. And I think we look at the condo market and we look at the branded condos. Everybody wants to talk about the branded condos. Branded condos. Guys, if you want to be taken seriously as a builder, and listen, I know the numbers speak for themselves, and branded pre-con sells for more, and they make an arbitrage between the VIG and the premium that they can get from the branded condos, but trade on your name, right? I was watching you like sushi, Peter?
Oh yes. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I definitely love sushi.
So I was watching this sushi documentary, and they were talking about when you go to Japan and you see the sushi restaurants, honor's a really big thing in their culture there, right? And I'm not going to pretend to know much more than that, but honor's really big. And so when you see somebody put their name on the restaurant, they're literally putting their name on the line, because if the restaurant sucks, then their honor is tarnished. So if you're a developer down here and you really want to strut your stuff, put your name on the building and build it well, and you'll be able to trade. You'll be able to build forever. I mean, listen, Ugo doesn't have a branded building. The first one is the Four Seasons, and that's a partner with that's a JV with four partners. But prior to that, Ugo has traded on just pulling a name out of the hat. Why don't we have the Colombo building? Why don't we have the Morris Towers? Why don't we have the Perez Condo Ultralux? Are they scared of messing up? Because I mean, you have these established brands here.
But keep in mind, an attempt was made to a certain degree by Swire Properties, the Hong Kong group, traded I think on the London Stock Exchange. They owned Cathay Pacific. They got the big holdings. They used to have the big holdings here. They sold everything off, and they're supposedly going to go ahead and put up the Mandarin Oriental.
They're moving dirt.
Condo. Yeah. Supposedly they're going to do it, but credit to them in the 1990s. They went forward with a project called the Carbonell, named after an artist, sculpturist. And if you guys are going over the Brickell Avenue Bridge, when you're going over the Brickell Avenue Bridge, if you're on the east side of the bridge, when you can overlook the world's most expensive dog park, which is the Miami Circle, paid $18 million, and they put sod over it, and dogs do their thing on there. Because remember, 0.5 dogs per unit. There's 1,800 units in ICON, but that's a different story. But anyways, when you walk in, when you're walking over the Brickell Avenue Bridge, everybody, next time you're doing it, you go from Brickell north over and integrated onto Miami or in the Central Business District. I want you to look up. You are going to see what looks like almost like a totem pole going all the way up, and there's all kinds of carvings about the Kestas, about the Florida Panther, about all this type of stuff. The guy who did it was called Carbonell, old man Carbonell, a very famous sculpturist, I want to say out of Spain. So the Carbonell building is named after him, and Swire actually funded that lack of a better word, totem pole, which is on the southeast side of the Brickell Avenue Bridge. Yeah, I was fortunate enough; I was able to go to the party when they were launching it and the dedication and stuff like that. So it was attempted once before. It wasn't the developer in Swire, but it was attempted in terms of an individual based on their contribution. But Daniel, I'm with you. A condo is a work of art, and if they can name a condo after a sculpturist and call it the Carbonell, why the hell aren't these developers putting their own names on it if they have to, and testing their reputation? How good is their reputation? George Perez, old man Perez.
It's a very risky thing to do.
Old man Perez, come out of retirement, saying that tongue in cheek. Why don't we see a Perez building, a George Perez?
Well,
I mean,
technically, what is the PAM?
Well, that's a contribution. It's a contribution.
Fair.
Yeah. To go ahead. No, but put your name on the building. Daniel, I love that. Gil Deser, you put up a ton of towers. Why the hell you use the Trump
he named the
name?
elevator, the car elevator is named after him. He patented it. It's called the Deservator.
Yeah, but let's see the Desert Condo Tower. Let's see what you got. Why you using everybody else's name? You got enough street cred right now.
And you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, why do you got Harvey Hernandez? You're slapping up towers everywhere. Put your name on a building. Let's see what you got, everybody. Otherwise, you guys are just kind of, you're sliding in. Daniel, I love that. I think we need to add that to our things to do in 2027, up there with lobbying for the Port of Miami to give up the cargo and turn it into a cruise and turn the whole area into like a downtown Disney, for lack of a better word, because I think it would be a home run rather than having a couple gantry cranes and moving some containers that don't really make us any money other than the truckers driving back and forth.
You heard it from us. We've been yapping about it for months now. Brickell needs its own brand. I'm a buy, obviously.
I'm a buy as well, but I love the idea of a developer putting their own name on the building, Daniel. That is a beautiful challenge that I think we should put out to all of our veteran developers down here on the ground.
I love it. Miami City Hall Blues. It's not the first time we talked about City of Miami City Hall being moved or electing to move to the new stadium. What do I call it? Do I call it the old Melreese Park? Do I call it the new stadium? They didn't think about the new stadium branding rights, because now it's just called the new stadium. Or is it just new stadium? Or is it the soccer stadium no one's going to go to and nobody's going to walk across that freaking pedestrian bridge? Thanks for the $20 million, by the way. City of Miami City Hall currently, and I'm going to bring it up for the gang just so they can see, and we haven't used the map today. Sorry, guys, I'm asleep at the wheel. But City Hall right now is probably in the best location of any American city hall in America. It's on the bay. Coconut Grove is so hot. You got $3,000 square foot condos being sold in pre-construction, and the city commissioners and the mayor sit in front of those. I mean, talk about having the best office being a public servant in the country, and they want to move it next to the airport. Why do they want to do this? Because it's old and it's tired and blah, 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 blah. The Miami River development, where some municipal offices were held, they want them to move out of there and they want to consolidate it all. Frankly, I just think that the Moss boys and Beckham couldn't lease out their Melreese development, and now they have a 99-year no-bid lease from a municipality at below market rents. Next, what the hell are they going to do with this?
Well, and that's, boy, that is so interesting. So let's lay it out for everybody. Before we had planes landing on the ground, generally speaking, we had Pan Am. We had the Chalks Airlines. We had the seaplanes, everybody. This was a terminal for Pan Am when they were building it out. Some people might not realize it, but if you go back and you read some of the history, Miami was an aviation center. There were airports everywhere. People would take off here, take off there, land. You want to read or hear about some of it, Casey Paquette in Miami History podcast. They'll take you through a lot of it. But basically, a lot of aviation was going on here. Curtis, Glenn Curtis, the guy who did Hialeah, the guy who did Opelika, the guy who did Miami Springs. He was a famous pilot. There were all kinds of everything was related about aviation down here. So that Dinner Key Marina, or City Hall, that's where Pan Am's headquarters were. because they had seaplanes. They were taking off. It was a very famous place. It was a visionary idea of the founder of Pan Am to be able to connect all of the the America's trade, if you will, and passengers. So there's a lot of history there in terms of moving to where they're going with City Hall. Well, first of all, they didn't know what to do with City Hall. The city ultimately took it over. It was going to be a short-term fix, and it ended up being years and years and years. And now, as part of the repositioning of Mel Reese golf course, as well as the park, City of Miami is getting a City Hall built there. They're trying to consolidate it all. City of Miami's got some expensive real estate. I think they want to tap into some of it. And the reality is they're probably going to have to be required to use and preserve that terminal, which is now City Hall, and then they'll probably build around it. I could see them basically closing off the site.
That's what I'm thinking. So we got this property tax referendum thing coming down. We got a very, very obvious budget deficit that we're looking down the barrel of. And City Hall, where it stands right now, is in some really expensive real estate. So exactly what part of City Hall, the former Pan Am terminal, is historic, and which parts are developable? Because talk about highest and best use. Yeah, is it pretty? But to a enterprising capitalist, this looks like a condo site to me.
Well, it is. I think the circle. If anybody doesn't know City Hall, when you go there, there's a circle. There's a roundabout. I think all of that would probably be developed. We all know the Freedom Tower, right? Over on, what is that, 6th, 5th, and 6th in Biscayne, right across from where President Trump is putting up his library. We have a street value of about $368 million.
They threw out Dunn's lawsuit, by the way.
Oh, did they? So it looks like President Trump's going to be able to go forward. Yeah, so if you zoom in on Freedom Tower, zoom on that, the rights are to build around Freedom Tower. Think of like the building the Blue. If you guys ever seen the Blue when you're driving on Julia Tuttle Causeway, when you go from the airport over to Middle Beach and Miami Beach, Fontainebleau, stuff like that, it's kind of circular, it's curved. I could see them, at Freedom Tower, they have the right to build around the Freedom Tower so they still preserve it. Think Paramount Bay, Daniel. That's probably a perfect example to something about Mary House, which ultimately had to be destroyed when the crane collapsed and killed everybody. And then they replaced it with some kind of, Kendall-like design. But yeah, there you go. You see how the building kind of wraps around? That's what I would imagine they're going to do there. They're probably going to sell it off to somebody's brother-in-law. They'll be able to build, and then they'll probably do a circular or I don't know how you want to say it, concave type of design, just like Paramount Bay right there. Daniel, if you could zoom in on Paramount Bay, everybody can see the little 2-story retail center. Yeah, there you go, right in front. Yep. Yeah, so it kind of wraps around it. If you guys watched the movie Something About Mary about 20-something years ago, that's the site of where the house was, Mary's house, the Cameron Diaz
that was the
character.
Apartment?
Yeah, that's where it was. And because if you go back and watch the movie, you'll see what this area was. And when Daniel Kanzi was putting up this Paramount Bay, near the end, his crane collapsed, and it destroyed the Something About Mary house. The Something About Mary house was going to be the community center for Paramount Bay, and then it all went to shit. And they replaced it with some kind of Kendall-like design. It's horrible. It's been vacant the entire time there. But Daniel, I think that's what they're probably going to do. Just like Freedom Tower, just like Paramount Bay, I think they're going to end up doing that at City Hall. And then the question becomes, how much of the parking lot, Daniel, how much of the parking lot is going to be part of the deal, and why can't you build a series of condo towers? So as you're driving up Bayshore Drive, you hang a right, and now you're going south, and you come up to the roundabout.
Yeah. I mean, Peter, put a number on this. Can you put a number on this right now?
Well, I would just say if we go off of President Trump's library site, we call it $360 million. I don't know. It's probably $200 million, $150 million per site for the dirt.
And this is direct bayfront.
Yeah, but how many can you shoehorn in there, Daniel? Because remember, we got Dinner Key Marina right there, and people are parking surface parking. All the surface parking is obsolete, everybody. If you were to pedal all this off, let me rephrase that. If you were to work out a deal for it, I don't think they can sell it without a approval. 20 years ago, City
Yeah,
of
but
Miami
there's
ran
going to
into
be such a
financial
hole
problems.
in the budget because they're getting rid of property taxes that the austerity measures are going to be set in, and they're going to say, hey, look, we got this dirt. We can fill this budget gap real easy. We just got to get rid of this parking lot right there.
Yeah, but I think if memory serves me correct, because City of Miami was selling off dirt, and they put in place a referendum. Now I think it's over 500 grand. If the city's actually going to sell it, I think they have to get approval. So I think what they do a lot of times is they lease it out, long-term leases, stuff like that, to kind of get around it. But Daniel, if we look at that site, you guys see the green space? That's the park. That's around where the convention center used to be. Famous convention center. And then you got all this parking for people renting from Dinner Key Marina. And then you got City Hall. All of that could probably be divvied up. What would you say, Daniel? Five condo development sites, condo tower sites, at least four?
That's got to be what, like 15, 20 acres?
Yeah, so let's just go with 5.
Call it 5 if you want a little more density. Remember, because they can't do transit station neighborhood development because it's carved out for Coconut Grove, right? So it's ultra luxury. I mean, if this were to ever be done, you're talking if the Four Seasons behind here is 3,000 a foot, you're talking Miami Beach 4,000 or 5,000 a foot prices. What we're seeing in pre-construction Bayfront now on the beach.
Well, and I would say there was a report in the Real Deal talking about a lot of contributions going to Mayor Eileen Higgins. She's kind of running the show right now. So just kind of putting it out there. But let's spitball this. Say you could put 5 condo tower sites in there. Let's say you go low density in terms of unit count. But
Okay, call them 500 units.
Yeah. Much like Ugo Colombo did with his Vita project. Which Ugo, if the building is so well, why the hell are you running a billboard over the bait shack?
Is the billboard still there?
27th and US 1. He still got the Vita. It's a premier location, which is a good location. He's running a billboard over a bait shack, Crooks and Crooks, next to the Burger King, and like an orchid joint, place selling orchids. But different story. So let's say 5 towers there. Let's say they go Vita style. Let's say he's going to get you get $5 million a door or so. You play it out. It's probably $100 million at least for the dirt, maybe 200 million, just spitballing times 5, it could be $1 billion.
We shouldn't probably say too much more about this because we're giving the administration some ideas that I'm not really happy about.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, yeah, but here's the beauty. This would be the kicker, if you ask me. So the Mr. C and what do they call them? The Twisting Sisters or the Terrible Sisters, whatever it's called.
Grand Bay, Jark Ingalls. By the way, you know Jark Ingalls. I hate to cut you off, but I'm gonna forget. So Jark Ingalls Group, right? Jark Ingalls, and then the top level domain name. He's Danish, top level domain. So here in the U.S. we have .com. Well, over there in Denmark it's .dk. So his website for his architectural firm is Jark Ingalls Group BIG.dk. You guys can spell it out yourselves, but I think it's hysterical. But Peter's talking about these buildings right here, the Twisting Sisters, Grove at Grand Bay. I think they look cool, but I'm sorry, Peter, I cut you off.
Well, what I was going to say is, wouldn't this be the ultimate Kendall golf course move? We hear about all these golf courses in Kendallandia in western Broward County. People are bitching, moaning because they bought on a golf course, and now, lo and behold, the golf course was owned by somebody else, has been sold, and now developers are moving forward. Imagine everybody on Bayshore Drive if the city were to somehow, some way, and anything's possible in Miami, put 5 towers there and basically block everybody.
But they were told that this is the last piece of waterfront real estate in Coconut Grove, and they were telling the truth, right?
Of course they were. And think about the parking. Why do we need surface parking for an old beat-up car for somebody living at Dinner Key Marina? Why don't you require the developers, when they go ahead and put up these towers, have them put in parking, and therefore everybody
spicy.
Doesn't it make more sense? And then you do like you did at Miami World Center, but you do it better, where you actually have tenants. You put in some retail space so you can just continue on where what they're doing at the Scotty's site. You can continue with the Chart House, the old Chart House, what they're doing there, and it just continues on. And city makes a lot of money. Developers make a lot of money. We get this whole district. And we were able to cock block everybody who went on the Bayshore Drive on the west side, or I guess it'd be the north side. I think there's a lot of fun here. We could have a lot of fun.
Miami City Hall Blues, buy, sell, hold.
No, I think it's Miami City Hall Green is more like it. I guess I would be a buy. I think this is
You're
just
a
the first move of the chessboard here. And this thing is probably gonna now. If we get a slowdown, it'll all get extended, delayed, whatever. But it seems like that's probably where we're headed. And but they probably will save the Pan Am building.
No, they got to
the City
save
Hall
the Pan
building.
Am building. Turn it in. Maybe that should be the condo museum.
Yeah, there we go.
Peter and I
have
have been advocating for a condo museum for I can't tell you how long, probably at least 65 weeks, because that's as long as we've been doing this show for. Whatever happened with the courthouse, by the way? That was our first proposed site for this, right? Did they ever get rid of it? I know it was going back on the auction block. Did anybody buy it?
I have not seen anything, and I've been tied up, and I haven't looked into it, so I do not know the answer at this point.
That is an answer, guys. You can say I don't know, by the way. Thank you, Peter. I'm holding, I'm eating popcorn, I'm hanging out, putting the upzoning cart before the transit horse. Oh, boy. Hey, Peter, when did they pass that half-penny tax for transit here?
2002, and our mayor at the time was declared the sexiest mayor in all the land. A guy called Alex Pinellas.
Ooh.
2002.
Still sexy guy?
Yeah, I don't know, but there was a columnist, a guy called Jim DeFeeti, now does CBS 4. He was a columnist at Miami Herald as well, to New Times before that. Yeah, he used to hammer it. Every time you mention the name Alex Pinellas, and I want to say he was a Democrat. I could be wrong on that.
In
but every
Florida?
time you refer to Alex Pinellas,
I'm clutching my pearls.
Well, remember before Jeb Bush, you had the old he-coon, which is what he called himself, which was Lawton Childs. He was a Southern Democrat. So this was a blue state, if you will, everybody, until in and around Jeb Bush in September 11th.
What a time to be alive. Well, talking about this, so this is all about RTZ, Pete, Rapid Transit Zoning. And I asked Peter about that half-penny sales tax because that tax was passed. So the 0.5 you get in your sales tax, that was passed because all that money was and is supposed to be funneled to building out what they called a smart corridor. So we were promised as constituents, I was 12 at the time, but nonetheless, I lived here and now I vote. Everybody should vote, by the way. I know we got 18.8% in Dade County on the primaries. It's okay. That wasn't the big one. The big one's in November, so show up, folks. But RTZ, right? And we got, of the 6 that were promised, the 6 corridors that were promised, we got 1, and it just opened last year. And it's not even rail, Peter. It's the Bus Rapid Transit, or BRT, going all the way up and down South Dixie Highway. They got the next one planned. Apparently, it's paid for, should be paid for, ready to go, but it ballooned from like 1.9 billion to 4.7 billion, and we're talking about the northern corridor that's going to go up 27th Avenue all the way to the county line. So that's the second one. That'll be finished by 2036, or so they say. Maybe my son will know how to drive by the time they finish even that one.
And your son hasn't even come yet.
And he's not even born yet, folks. And now what's happening, and it's a chicken or the egg problem. And I get both sides of the argument. But on one side, it's the county saying, hey, we need federal funds. We need to show that we have density and that we have a need for public transit dollars. So they're upzoning along all of these corridors. Rapid Transit Zoning, RTZ. And it's been championed by a bunch of commissioners. I'm not going to name them out loud, but you can look them up. They're really easy to find. Raquel Regalado, Oliver Gilbert, and the communities here, and particularly in Kendall, where if you live in West Dade, the traffic it's bad. There's already a ton of density in there. And so they're upzoning these corridors, but there's no public transit. The public transit was promised 20-something years ago, and they haven't built it. And they shored up their pensions, and they've done quality of life increases in salaries, but they haven't built the public transit. I have a car. I'm like most people in Miami. Peter doesn't. Guys, look at Peter. Think of Peter when you go to the ballot box, because this is something that affects everybody every single day here. I get it. We need to upzone. We do need to upzone because we need the federal funds. But why do we need the federal funds in the first place? I thought that's what the half-penny sales tax was for.
Ding, 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 ding. You just hit, Daniel, you were having a day. You had a Carl Fisher moment. I don't know what I would call this one. Maybe this is Maybe this is a Bob Barker moment from The Price is Right, and a shout out to my buddy Boca Joe who watches it every morning. Yeah, that was a Price is Right moment. That was a ding, ding, ding. You got the exact point right there. Why the hell have they been collecting half-penny sales tax since 2002 when it
Where are
passed?
the trains? They got the Bright Line, our high-speed rail that goes 70 whole miles an hour when it's not hitting somebody.
And if you look at what's going on with Tri-Rail, the state of Florida wants to sort of nix them out. Let Brightline take over, but that's a different story. No, Daniel, you're 100% correct. They have not delivered on our promises. Our mayor at the time, Alex Pinellas, might have been the prettiest mayor in the country based on People magazine, but they weren't able to perform. They weren't able to deliver. Listen, I think what the city or what the county and what everybody needed, they need to go tap into in Manny Diaz. Manny Diaz, the mayor of Miami, former mayor of Miami. Manny put in place and was the originator, and he traveled around the country and he checked it all out. He was the originator of Miami 21, the zoning, which ultimately led to a lot of the development that we see going on, the creativity, the density, a variety of different things. They need, Manny, they need to hire you, not your son who's the coach over at Duke for the football team and used to run University of Miami football team. No, but the old man Diaz. They need to bring him in there and have him get involved because he's kind of got this vision. It's been 20-something years since the half-penny sales tax went into place, and they have not performed. They added a little extension. I think they call it the Orange Line, so you can get to Miami International Airport.
But it was supposed to go all the way to FIU.
It was supposed to go to FIU. It was supposed to go to Joe Robbie Stadium or Hard Rock or
Landshark.
or all the other names. Landshark. Yeah, it was supposed to go everywhere. You know it's not going to Miami Beach because Miami Beach does not want public jet coming over there. They've been fighting it forever and ever and ever. But what are we doing? We got 6 million people in this region. Everybody knows Miami. We're trying to position ourselves as Wall Street South. We can't put together the public transportation for people like me who like to pay $2.25, by the way, to get on the Metro Rail and bounce around.
Give credit where credit is due. They didn't raise the fares on the Metro Rail, right?
And that is a golf clap for Mayor Cava.
Despite having the $400 million budget hole.
That's right. So, that's good. But listen, the next step's got to be you got to take the train up to Miami Gardens. It used to be called Carroll City. Take up the Miami Gardens. Take it to the Broward County line.
But it's not going to... Listen, if you can build a soccer stadium in half an hour, which they did, they can take 3 years to do this. This schedule... Remember, we were promised the Signature Bridge, the Medusa Bridge, the Fountain Bridge. You guys can submit more names for that bridge that's going to nowhere, the Tarantula. That was supposed to be finished originally, I think, 2024? It's 2026. Now, I think it's promised in 2029. I mean, talk about a public infrastructure disaster. So maybe don't hire those guys to do the trains. That's step one. Step two is just get it started. You got to get the wheels turning on this thing. And yes, do you need... I get it. You guys spent the money on something else. That's water under the bridge. But... figure out a way to do it without pissing off every constituent in West Dade. Oh, and by the way, if they turn the airport down there in West Kendall to a commercial airport, what do you think that's going to do to the traffic situation?
Exactly. Daniel, I mean, for me, I think the next logical step, and we could say it could go two ways. Some people would say take it out to Kendallandia, the train. I don't know if that one's going to work simply because people living in the suburbs with cul-de-sacs and those little fountains in the U-shaped driveway.
But these are the constituents who are really pushing back against this upzoning are the Kendallandia folks. Because they're like, hey, guys, we get it. The train ain't coming here, but you guys are still upzoning. So what? We're going to get a train in 2075? But
I think the point I'm making is Kendallandia is Kendallandia. It's kind of right. It's meat and potatoes. It's just right there. Where the opportunity can be for the city, the county, the school board is you bring that train going up 27th Avenue all the way to the Broward County line. The amount of redevelopment that can occur there, if anybody's never driven up 27th Avenue, take 27th up, go straight past the Royal Castle place, which I think closed, famous hamburger joint. You're going to keep going north all the way. You're going to go through Opelika. You're going to go through Miami-Dade College North Campus. You'll see some great fritter places. You just keep going all the way up, and then you end up in the Miami Gardens. In Miami Gardens, if you have not been there, it's just like blowing up. It's in a good way. It's all getting developed. Tax revenue. Take the train up that way. Give people the ability to live in Miami Gardens, in Opelika, and some of these places where you can get reasonably priced real estate still. You can jump on a train, and you can come on down. That to me is such a no-brainer because it will simply jack up property taxes, tax revenue for the county, the school board, and the city.
But we're not going to have property taxes anymore.
That's right. No more for homesteaded properties.
Hey,
I mean, listen, I'm on a board for the it's called 10 North. It's used to be called the Opelika Redevelopment Agency, and some name like that, but it's called 10 North. And basically, because Opelika is 10 miles north of Miami, and it was done by Curtis, Glenn Curtis, same guy who did Hialeah in Miami Springs. And they're moving forward a lot of rental towers up there and potentially condo towers. It make Amazon everybody. By the way, they're using the airport up there in Opelika. So there's so much potential up this way. You bring in the train, and now you got renters. Plus, you want to talk about a cool area, kind of gritty. You can kind of get into it. You got upside. We're all talking about nobody's going to be able to buy again. This area is wide open, but it's missing the crucial component because of traffic. It's missing that Metro rail. It's got the tri-rail, which is good. But if you get the Metro rail incorporated into it, this is a whole new development phase that we can really take advantage of, and everybody in the community would benefit because now we got more money coming to the coffers.
Who's voting for Peter? I am. Putting the upzoning cart before the horse. I'm a sell. I'm a sell. I think it's not the right thing to do. I think there's more infill development that can be done in other parts of town.
Yes.
I mean, the county commission is going to push this through because that's how they got elected, so that they could vote on stuff like this and upzone and advocate for this, advocate for their special interests, their donate, their contributional people. They're donors. That's the word I'm freaking looking for. They're donors. I'm a sell. Peter, where you sit on this?
I'm going to be a buy, and I'm a buy because of Dubai.
Buy because of Dubai? Nobody's buying in Dubai, Peter.
I'm a buy because of Dubai. And what I mean by that is, now I'm not talking about the bombing in Iran and all that and the drones and all that. But if you ever go to Dubai and you take the train, basically every stop's a different neighborhood. And if this upzoning allows the development in certain areas, and I'm only thinking Metro Rail, I'm not talking about the traffic in Kendallandia, I just think the city would be so much more energetic, dynamic, electric.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. But, okay, if they had the money today, which they don't, and they were able to go through a contractor selection project today, which they can't, it would still take them 20 years to build the thing.
I got the answer. Ken Billions
ain't invested in public transit.
Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Page, Serge from Google. Who else? Alex Karp. Why don't we hit them up? Why don't we ask them to go ahead and donate?
Because that's why they left California, because of the taxes. There is no universe where Florida ups taxes on anybody, because then, well, what do we got left? Sunshine? Girls in bikinis?
Yeah, but
that's pretty good.
Why don't we get a contribution? Why don't we get a donation from these wealthy billionaires we keep hearing about? Yeah, why don't we do that?
The only one who really came here to give that I can see, Bezos' ex-wife, and she's not really here, but I think she's just spreading money around to piss him off. So thanks for that. That's fantastic. And Ken Billions, who's trying to gain good graces and a foothold here. Hey, I'll take it. That's fantastic. Welcome to the club, but we're still waiting on that lunch invite.
I got the answer. You know what we do? You build a data center below and the Metro Rail above. Let him do it that way. Let's bring in Serge and Larry from Google. Zuckerberg, you need to build data centers. Build data centers at every subway stop. And the train
you had every fan on Instagram rooting for you, and now you got to go off the data center rent? Get out of here. All right, Peter, you're a buy on that.
It's a push-pull. How are you going to get these people to buck up? Because by the time we get the money out of Washington, if we get it, by the way, Daniel, happy 40 trillion. We finally topped that 40 trillion mark, and we are humming, man.
Fist bump.
Hopefully we get to 50. And hopefully we get to 50 very quickly. Listen, you got to come up with some money somehow. Nobody wants data centers. I want Metro Rail. Put the two together. What could go wrong?
You're a buy, I'm a sell. I obviously hate it, but hey, that's what we do on Buy, Sell, Hold. We bicker. We bicker. Peter, I love you, pal. Everybody, that's Buy, Sell, Hold episode number 65. Next week, we got a guest. I don't even know if Peter knows we got a guest, but he's been booked for months now already. We hope you tune in at 4 o'clock-ish every Friday on all your favorite social media platforms. I'm Daniel. That's Peter. See you next time, folks.